Okay, so question 21. During which time periods did the enrollments decrease? Well, from 1960, this is enrollments in languages other than English in U.S. institutions of higher education. In other words, colleges in America where students are enrolling in Spanish, French, German, Arabic, whatever, right? Languages other than English, right? American Sign Language also, right? Okay, so from 1960 to 65, the enrollments went from 608,000 up to 975 roughly, right? And then from 1965 to 1968, they went from 975 to over 1 million. And then they dropped down a bit here in 1970. And then, then like this corresponds to 1972. So 1972, they were at 963,000. So that's what the graph is showing. It's years on the bottom and enrollments in non-English language classes in colleges in this country. Got it? So the first question is, during which time periods did the enrollments decrease? So we can see from 1968 to 1970, it actually went down a touch. And then it went down again, and then it went down again. So we're at 897 for 1974. But then we go to 883 for 1977, right? But then we go down again to 877, that's 1980. But then we go up. So it's been going down from 1968 all the way through 1980, because from 1980 to 83, it actually went up. So there's, so 21, here's 21. Here's one time period that it went down, 1968 to 1980. All right. Now there's other periods where it went down. So from 1980, it goes up and then up again and then up again. Oh, and then we went down from here to here. See that? From this 1990 to this 95. It went down from 1,138,000 down to 1,096,000, right? So this is 1990 to 1995. All right, so that answers question 21. These are the two time periods that the enrollments decreased, okay? Now we'll move on to question 22. So calculate the average growth rate per year in enrollments over the two periods, 1960 to 65 and 2006 to 2009. So 1960 to 65, the enrollment went from 608,000 up to 975. So what we do is we go, how much did it increase by? 975, 777, subtract 608, 749. So from 1960 to 65, the enrollment increased by 367,000 students, roughly, right? Over that 5-year period. So that's the total increase from 1960 to 1965. What we're asked for is the average growth rate per year in this time period. What do you think that means? Press pause on the video, everybody, and just try to figure out what you think the answer would be. Just figure it out. What do you think that would actually be? And then I'll show you. Okay, I hope you've all tried to figure out, understand what this means. The average growth rate per year. I'm going to do it now. So I hope you've attempted it, because it is literally what that means. Okay. Now, the total growth rate is 367,000 students. Okay. So what's the average growth rate? You take that number, 367,028. And you divide it by the number of years in that time period, which is 5 years. 1960 to 65 is 5 years, right? 5 years. So you just divide it by 5. And that's what the average growth rate is, 73,000. See that? That's the average growth rate. So on average, the enrollment increased by 73,000 each year. In other words, it's kind of like the enrollment went up by 73,000 And then it went up by 73,000 again, and then it went up by 73,000 again, then it went up by 73. I'm rounding. I know it's 73,405, but it kind of did that each year. Of course, it didn't do that each year. What probably happened is it went up by 100,000 one year, and then it went up by 50,000 another year, and then it went up by like 80,000 another year, and so on, right? But the average was about 73,000 each year. Okay. That's the average growth rate. It's not the actual growth rate. By the way, it could have fallen by 20,000 in the year 1964 or 1963, right? And then it could have jumped up in 1964 to where the average is 73,000. So we're not even saying that it was positive growth every year. We're just saying the average is 73,000, but that's what average growth rate means. So your answer is 73,405. You can put in 0.6 if you want. It doesn't matter. That's 0.6 of a student. You might be asked to round to the nearest whole number, which would make sense in real life because you can't have 0.6 of a student. That would be very messy, right? So 73,405, unless you're asked to round to the nearest thousand, in which you would say 73,000. Okay. But just check that. All right. So that's that time period. Now let's look at the other time period. It's 2006, 2009. That's 3 years. There's 3 years there. 2007, 8, 9. Okay. So let's have a look at that. 2006, 2009. 2006, the enrollment is 1,500. It's 1 million, 1.5 million. In 2009, the enrollment is 1,600,000. So it increased by about 100,000. And so we'll get that total increase. So we go 1,629,326. And then we subtract 1,522,770. So the total increase from 2006 to 2009 is 106,556. That's the total increase over the 3 years. What I want you all to do, press pause on the video and figure out the average growth rate per year in this time period from 2006 to 2009. What is the average growth rate per year? Press pause. Take your time. What is it? What do you think it should be? Again, it's a 3-year time period. And that total increase in enrollment is 106,000. Okay, I hope you've all pressed pause and tried it. I'm going to do it now. 106,556. It's just divided by 3. There's 3 years. 2006, 2009, that's 3 years. That's all you got to do. Divide it by 3. And the average growth rate is about 35,000. Okay. So we've gone up by an average of 35,000 each year. Again, I'm rounding, or 36,000, whatever. So, 35,000, say, I'll just round it to the nearest 100 just for the fun. But it kind of went up like this: 35,500, 35,500, 35,500, right? That's the average. Of course, in real life, it may have been more like 50,000 in the year 2006. And then, and then, it could have been like 10,000 in the year 2007. And then it could have been whatever is left, we're left to do at 60, so maybe like 46,000 in the year 2008. So it might have been that, but the average is 35,500. Okay, but again, it could have been this, and it could have even dropped in 1 year, as long as it works out to where it's a total increase of 106,000 and the average is 35,500. And again, watch out for the rounding. Maybe you're asked to round to the nearest 1,000, in which case it'd be 36,000, or this would be rounding to the nearest 100, 35,500. And this would be rounding to the nearest student, 35519, right? 35519. So just pay attention to how you're supposed to round this. And yeah, that's the answer to that. And then on to question 23. Use your results to determine during which period, 1960 to 65 or 2006 2009, the enrollments grew more quickly on average. Relate your answer to the steepness or slope of the corresponding line segments. So press pause on the video and do this question yourself, all right? Press pause on the video, do that question yourself, and then I'll do it. Okay, I hope you've attempted it. I'll go over it now. So let us answer this. During which time period did the enrollments grow more quickly on average? Think about average growth rate. One of our average growth rates, I do recall, was 73,000 or 73,000, like 405, right? That was the annual growth rate from one of the time periods. The first one, 60-65. The other average growth rate was 35,509, which is bigger. This one's bigger. So on average, the enrollments grew more in this period than in this period. So students were taking more non-English language classes from 60 to 65 than from 2006 to 2009, right? Now, so that's the answer there. So it's this period, 1960 to 65. The average was more. Relate your answer to the steepness or slope of the corresponding line segments. Okay, let's look at the line. But see if you can answer this yourself. Press pause on the video. Can you answer that yourself? Okay, now I'm going to do it. So, this is this line segment, 60 to 65, right there. See that? Think about how steep is that line there. Is that quite steep compared to the steepness of the line here? Is that line steeper than this line? Which hill would you prefer to run up? This one or this one, right? So that's the question, right? So can you see that this line segment is steeper than this line segment? Which makes sense because the average growth rate here is more than the average growth rate here. So you can see that the line is steeper line from 1960 to 1965. That's the answer. Okay, there's a steeper line from 1960 to 1965. And that's the answer to 23. All right.